Welcome to Inclusion Bites, your sanctuary for bold conversations that spark change. I'm Joanne Lockwood, your guide on this journey of exploration into the heart of inclusion, belonging, and societal transformation. Ever wondered what it truly takes to create a world where everyone not only belongs, but thrives? You're not alone. Join me as we uncover the unseen, challenge the status quo, and share stories that resonate deep within. Ready to dive in? Whether you're sipping your morning coffee or winding down after a long day, let's connect, reflect, and inspire action together. Don't forget, you can be part of the conversation too. Reach out to joe.lockwood@seechangehappen.co.uk to share your insights or to join me on the show. So adjust your earbuds and settle in. It's time to ignite the spark of inclusion with Inclusion Bites. And today is episode 162 with the title, Breaking the Disability Mould. And I have the absolute honour and privilege to welcome Lindsay Mitchison. Lindsay is an award-winning disabled entrepreneur and founder of NeoWalk. They create stunning acrylic walking sticks that empower people with confidence and style. When I asked Lindsay to describe her superpower, she said it is believing in possibility and empowering others to thrive beyond limitations. Hello, Lindsay. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Joe. Thank you very much for having me. How are you?
I'm very good. So you're based up north in the UK and I'm down south, as they say.
Yeah, I'm in the frozen north. It's a bit chilly up here, but we had snow last week, but a bit warmer this week. So yeah, York's a lovely city.
It is. I remember going to the Railway Museum there as a child, and yeah, I don't think I've been back to York specifically, but certainly been around that area, in the Yorkshire area. Beautiful part of the country.
Yeah.
Very friendly, aren't you? Up north, everyone's a love and
we are
duck, are they?
Yeah, we're not ducks up here. You'd be a pet or a mate. You'd be a now then mate. Hey up.
So when we've connected in the green room earlier, I was welcomed by someone said hello, and you came on screen and said, "Sorry, that wasn't me. That was my parrot." So I having a conversation with me in the background.
Yeah, that's my little friend Blanco. He's my umbrella cockatoo. He has two words that he's really good at, which are hello and goodbye. So you said hello, and he went, hello. He's very, very sociable.
And I didn't realise it was a parrot when I first saying hello. And you came on, you wheeled yourself on. It was like, that was my parrot. So,
yeah, he's just my assistant. He just steps in when I need him to.
So like a different version of ChatGPT sort of holds the fort for your own parrot agent.
He's quite sociable, although he does like calling people bad boy. So if we'd kept him in longer, he probably would have started saying, hello, bad boy.
So Lindsay, you had a life-changing, so I say event, is that event? Is that the right word?
Yeah, event. Yeah.
15 odd years ago, and you're now a globally recognized entrepreneur. Fueled. Well, first of all, if you mind sharing what happened and what turned the corner to inspire you to take control of your life again.
Yeah, I think that's the word. It was taking control, because this happened to me. The previous to me being ill, I trained as a hairdresser. I was hoping to set up my own business being a hairdresser. I was mum. I got two lovely kids, and I had always had arthritis since I've been a teenager. And I had surgery on one of my knees, and I contracted a catastrophic MRSA infection, which was at a time, I don't know whether you remember, when MRSA was rife in hospitals. It was all that was talked about. And I contracted one during surgery. They stitched me up, sent me home, and it burbled away and really destroyed the bottom part of my leg. And I ended up having my leg amputated 3 years later. I lived with it for as long as I could, because I'm a trier, and I thought, I can do this and see what I can salvage. from what's happened. But yeah, I opted to have my leg amputated because all it was doing was holding me back, and I was facing an amputation in the future anyway. So I kind of took control back, made what had happened to me work again for me, because I knew that with a prosthetic, I'd be much more active. I was younger. I was 43. And I knew that with a prosthetic, I'd be super active, which I was. So the plan actually worked out, because I became this, I walked about everywhere with this prosthetic leg on, and I trained to be a circus performer. Does that sound silly? I got offered all this. I had to keep working. So I joined an agency called Amputees in Action, and they find work for amputees like me. So I started doing lots of crazy jobs, like being a live casualty actor, where I would literally get placed into different situations with a leg that would be made with makeup to look like it had just been blown off. And I did work for the army, the SAS, all the blue light services, private security, all sorts of people, lots of simulations. Did that. And then one day I got this strange email asking about doing something for the Paralympics. So I said yes as well. So I became this kind of yes person who just wanted to test my limits. I just wanted to see where my new limit sat, because I knew that it was different. So yeah, I started the business very early on as well. I started making the acrylic walking sticks very early on, but for myself. I made them just for me, and the magic happened there. But yeah, it's been a complicated journey the last sort of 20 years. It's been very, very up and down, very up and down.
Can I ask us to go back to that time where you were in hospital, you had your knee operation, and you've been carrying, as you say, this arthritis for years anyway, so you were partially mobile, or less mobile, less active than you wanted to be, which is the whole reason you had it. How did the MRSA manifest itself first? Were you aware of it?
So I was aware that my recovery wasn't going as well as it should be from the knee surgery. Physiotherapists were saying, you probably shouldn't be in as much pain as you still are. I wasn't able to move the knee as much. So they were concerned that something had gone wrong. But then it manifested as like a cellulitis. So lots of redness and swelling on the skin around the knee. Then it manifested as blisters. It just kept getting worse and worse. And I kind of knew that something was going on. Plus I started to feel quite ill. So it sort of burbled away for about 4 months before I was taken seriously by the GP in the hospital. And then they looked at it and it was like, shit. There's something really bad going on here.
As you said, that was at a time where the awareness of MRSA wasn't as heightened.
The awareness, I think, was there. The control wasn't. So they hadn't managed to get it under control in hospitals. It was one of the things that you got tested for before you went into hospital. And ironically, I caught it actually in an operating theatre, which is where you would think it would have been immaculate. But, there you go. I was unlucky. Yeah,
so what was it like making that decision? I mean, you said you were at the point where you couldn't carry on and you want to take agency back for yourself, make that decision. It must have been quite a stressful time for your children, for your family, to know you're going to go back, because even though you're having an amputation, I guess there's still a risk the MRSA may not be removed at that time. Was that a possibility?
Yeah, it is a possibility, but they were quite confident that they got rid of all the infection at the time when I had the last surgery for it. But really, because I was left with a knee that I couldn't bend it literally, and it was very painful. I couldn't walk. It was really painful. So I was already using a wheelchair. I was already using mobility aids. I'd already lost it. Do you know what I mean? People say that must be the hardest decision ever, to choose to have your leg amputated, but I'd actually already lost it. So the decision came a lot easier. The trauma I went through was losing the use of that leg at the time I was ill. So 3 years later, I just couldn't wait to get rid of the thing, because it was just holding me back, and I knew it was holding me back. So the decision wasn't as hard as you'd imagine.
So you already realised that a prosthetic would have been less pain or no pain. your mobility would have been improved. So you weren't losing anything. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Everybody that I spoke to said, because I spoke to a lot of people that were amputees when I was doing my research on what it would be like for me, and every single one of them said, you'll wish you'd done it sooner. Every single one of them, yeah.
I mean, completely unrelated, but I knew a friend who had colostomy bag fitted, and everyone went, "Oh, how terrible this," and they said, "No, actually, I wish I'd done it sooner because all the issues they had going on, it diverted obviously their intestines, and they were able to regain their life with a difference. Whereas before they were trapped in this cycle of pain and inconvenience and stress." Yeah,
So
I've heard that many times.
the same thing, seeing beyond the surgery and seeing what benefit it will have for your life. And I think if you research it enough and you talk to enough people, which I did, it kind of confirms it in your head that it's the right decision. So you do feel a lot more confident going into it.
What's rehab like? So presumably you stay in hospital for a short period, walking frames, physio, people helping you regain your balance, your momentum, walking upstairs, downstairs, those kind of things.
Yeah.
How long did that part of the recovery take?
So I was in hospital for about 5 days after the amputation and got home. Everything was home wasn't really laid out for me anymore at that point because I was in a wheelchair while I recovered in the house. And then physio is really quite instant and quite brutal. It starts the week after and they get you up straight away. And you use a temporary prosthetic. So instead of having one where you've got the socket made exactly for your leg, you use it's an inflatable prosthetic. And she's called Pam. It's a Pam aid, it's called. And they get you walking. So they get you straight up and they show you exercises. And I was at physio twice a week learning to walk, and it was intense. But by then the pain had gone, you see, because I didn't have the leg there. It was a completely different situation. And how kind of empowering to be stood up again. Because for a while, for 3 years, I'd spent a lot of the time sat down where people kind of look straight over your head. And it was quite empowering to be stood up and tall again, So physio was hard. Rehab was, I would say it took me about 5 months to be walking properly on a prosthetic leg. But my God, I was off. Loved it. It gave me back my freedom, yeah.
Because above the knee amputation, correct me if I'm wrong, is more of a challenge to regain your balance and your stride than a below the knee because you're obviously missing a joint. So
you've lost 2 joints.
You have to relearn.
So you lose
2 joints.
Yeah. You lose your knee and you lose your ankle. So with a below knee, you only lose your ankle. And I saw people with below knee amputations coming in at the same time as me for physio. And within 2 weeks, they were off. They'd lost nothing. It was amazing to see. Above knee is a bit different because you've got to learn how to use the prosthetics because they have knees that you've got to learn how to control as well. So a bit more complicated, exhausting. An above knee amputee uses approximately double the energy as an ambulatory normal person, 2-legged. It takes twice as much energy for me to do anything as it does for you.
Especially the cognitive load of your brain trying to process that new movement. When we learn to walk as infants, that takes us 18 months to get the hang of standing up and moving.
Yeah. I remember being in the physio because it was all indoors, obviously, and they used to take us out into the corridors so we could walk up a bit of a ramp and da-da-da. Then one day they said, right, we're going outside and it will be totally different. And I'm like, yeah, really? It's just outside. I'm used to going outside. It was terrifying because they made me walk on gravel. They made me walk on grass. They made me do some steps. The wind was blowing. The whole thing was just so different to learning to walk inside. And it completely threw me that it would make such a difference. But it really did. It's like you say, it's the overload. It's just overwhelming. And being outdoors just added more complication into the walking process. But I was good at walking. I really put a lot of effort into it because that was my goal. That was the whole reason for the amputation, because I wanted to be able to I didn't want to be a woman with one leg. I wanted to be a woman with a prosthetic leg. That was what I wanted to be.
So that's redefining your identity, really. You weren't a woman with a disability. You were a woman who has a leg that's different.
Yes, that was very much what my goal was. And you asked how did I do it? What made me feel able to turn that round? And I think it's belief. A lot of it is self-belief, but it's also believing in who you surround yourself with, because they give you power to push through. They give you the support. Look at this. This was the first tattoo I ever got. It's going to be backwards, isn't it? But it says believe. And I got that just after the amputation. I did it before Ted Lasso did. It was my word for his. But I think a lot of it is belief. It's self-belief and believing in possibilities, which is how you introduced me. And I knew that it was possible for me to do so much once I got rid of that leg that had stopped playing as a team player.
If you wind the clock back 50, 60, 100 years, false limbs, prosthetics, however you want to describe them, were almost like a social stigma, weren't they? People used to hide them. Women would wear long dresses or men would wear trousers to cover them up completely. They look, kind of blend them in. But I've seen influencers on YouTube and on television where people are kind of owning the look. They don't have to be looking like a human birth leg. Yeah. They're titanium, they're kind of glitzy.
Yeah. I mean, some of them are absolutely stunning. There's a model called Victoria Modesta, and she's the one that famously, you might have seen an advert on TV where it was came to a perfect point. This prosthetic leg, absolutely stunning. She's got some gorgeous legs. But yeah, people still want to hide them. Some people do. I never did. They gave me a leg that had a cover on it, and I took it home and ripped the cover off. Because it just didn't, there was no point pretending it was a real leg. I just got rid of one of them. And I just thought, no, just accept it for what it is. It's a prosthetic leg, and wear it and be proud of it. But there's some absolutely stunning legs now, really gorgeous. It cost a lot of money. They do cost a few pennies, yeah. And the NHS, to be fair, they give you a leg that matches your capability. So when I was 43, they gave me good legs because I was younger. Whereas now, not so much. Oh, yeah, because I'm 57 now and it's tight. You're not going to do much with it, Lindsay, are you really? So, it's not exactly a broom handle, but, as you get older, they give you less and less. They save them the super active people.
So you haven't got one of those sprint blades that you see on the Paralympics?
No, would love one, but no. I've asked, but no. No, I'm not going to sprint anyway. I wouldn't even sprint if someone was chasing me. I just wouldn't have me.
Take your leg off and throw it at them.
Be the answer, wouldn't it? Come on then, if you think, yeah. But yeah, the NHS sort of, it's got no money. I mean, let's be totally honest. It's on its knees. So they allocate their money carefully.
Yeah, I'm just hypothesizing. It's fair and reasonable for the NHS to provide you enough so that your quality of life is restored roughly to where you were before. They're not there to give you more than you already had. So just maintaining that point of life. Okay.
Yeah. But they definitely don't. The actual knees, some of them are microchip. That they've got little computers. They learn how you walk so they can help you better. It knows when you go on an uneven surface, and it kicks in and helps you. It knows if you're going downhill. Amazing technology. We've got to thank our veterans for that, because so many guys and girls were coming back from, Afghanistan and Iraq that were amputees. So a lot of the progression with prosthetics has come around because of them.
You said when you first came home from hospital after the amputation, that you realised your house wasn't designed for wheelchair access or for your mobility needs at the time. How have you found society, the world at large, going from that? I appreciate you went through a phase where you were less able because of the infection in your knee and everything, but you must have found the world less accommodating than you expected, or did you expect it to be a challenge, getting on and off trains and buses and driving and things like that?
I mean, we're here to talk inclusivity because, that's the name of your podcast. And I'm living in a world that isn't built for me. It's not built to accommodate my needs, Times you'll be lucky and plans will go easy and train travel and all the rest of it. And you'll go to a restaurant where there might be a toilet for you. But, a lot of the time it's not built for people with mobility issues. It's frustrating. I deal with it because there's bigger things going on in life. If I have to go to a public toilet, 100 yards away, if I'm in a restaurant, I don't really care as long as I can go, as long as I don't just have to go on the floor. I'm happy with that. There's bigger things to complain about. I would never make a fuss. What does bug me are dirty, disabled toilets at service stations where there's no other choice, because there's no need. So I have complained about things like that. But yeah, it's just not an inclusive world for people with disabilities. Not at all.
Follow up on what you said about the toilet service station. What gets me on my soapbox is you turn up there, on the door, they have this check sheet. This toilet was last cleaned, and they have the hour slots, and you think, well, no one's checked for like 6 hours or 8 hours. In fact, no one's been there today, or someone's filled in all the gaps, and same signature all the way down. You go in there and think, nah, you've not been in here.
Absolutely, no,
joking that.
Really bugs me, and I have complained about that. I've been on my soapbox about that, but generally speaking, I try not to complain too much. I try not to get my blood pressure up, and there's bigger things to complain about.
But not everybody is empowered to be an advocate for themselves or for others, and so sometimes if nobody does, then it doesn't change. You have to create change, don't you?
No, you do. In York, I live in York. A lot of the buildings are really old, so whenever you do sort of question, have you got a disabled loo? Why haven't you got a disabled loo? It's planning. We're not allowed to do this. We're not allowed to do that. Yeah, okay. It's probably a valid reason. I don't know, but it's one that's thrown around quite.
We hide behind the jobs world, don't we? It becomes GDPR. It becomes planning. It becomes, well, no, we can't do that here. It's
plan. Yeah, but do you know what? I'm capable enough to find a solution to most things. I mean, socially, going out, toilets are generally a problem. So as long as I know that I'm somewhere near a public loo, I can just and go and find one. Because I'm in a wheelchair now. I don't walk very much. I have other bits of me that are falling apart now, so I'm in a wheelchair all the time now. So
okay.
That kind of changed life for me when I had to sit in a wheelchair all the time. But, it's fine. I run my life. There's nothing I can't do from my wheelchair that I could do before. Nothing at all. I can chase my kids still. I can take my dogs for a walk. Do you know what? There's nothing that I can't do.
Bang. Whatever's going on there. Is that the parrot escaping?
I've got one of my, they're big kids. I've got one in the room. He works for me.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So what can businesses, offices, society do? I mean, you talked to me about maybe more of a growth mindset about what's possible. What can organisations think about in terms of accessibility? Because it sounds like you've gone through several different stages for being active and relatively healthy, to developing arthritis, to developing MRSA, to having an amputation, go through rehab, and then becoming a wheelchair user. So you've been through an evolution. So you've seen different aspects where, to paraphrase, it went from being able, partially disabled, to a wheelchair user, and there's a completely different experience for you in society in that way. So what can people maybe learn from that?
Each step is very much a hurdle that you've got to get over. So in connection with the business, I've been through all those changes. I've been through that evolution. So when people come to us and they talk about their disabilities, I can very much relate, and it resonates with me. So that's one of the reasons we're in such a good position to give advice and support to people within our community. We have an amazing community. We've got a very, very large community on Instagram, and we do offer each other support. That's another thing as well, you see, because I'm part of the community that I serve. So my purpose, my why now is to serve the disabled community, either through providing mobility aids, advocating, fighting for people to help them thrive and be productive and happy and healthy. So all that, I see it from a disabled person's point of view. So it's quite a unique position to be a disabled creator, disabled entrepreneur. But to go back, the wider world, I think, still needs educating a lot on how to not label people with disabilities. Because instantly I'm labelled. I know we're all labelled, but instantly when people see me in a wheelchair, I'm labelled as weaker, less able. That they kind of assume that you've got some kind of neuro thing going on as well, which isn't true. You're kind of viewed as less than, and it's when I open my mouth and I start, it's when someone looks over my head and says to my son, does she know her PIN number for her card? Exactly. How does that great? And he'll just say, well, I don't know, ask her, or they'll look over my head and say, can she get out of her chair to get into a seat, like at the theatre? And again, talk to the person with the disability. It's, and that's an ignorance thing. That's someone not having come into contact with someone who's got a disability. That's just not knowing how to do it. So I think if there was more education for the younger generations to meet, more opportunity for them to meet people with disabilities so they understand. I used to do talks in schools. I've done a few, and kids are great. Kids just want to know if it hurts. Does it hurt? No, it doesn't hurt. Okay, then, right. Can I ask you a question, miss? What did they do with your leg after they cut it off? And that's where they go. The kids are they want to look at your prosthetic because they're the engineers of tomorrow. They want to fiddle with it and see how heavy it is and see if they just want to play with it. I think the younger generation doesn't get that opportunity to interact with many people with disabilities. So we've grown up into a generation of people that are just quite ignorant of how to deal with it. Yeah.
Sorry, my mind's wandering off here. I sometimes can't stop myself thinking about a humorous image in my head, and I'm thinking, well, what do you do with your leg once it's cut off? I was thinking, well, maybe they take all the flesh off it, and then you just get the bones back. So you get your foot and your leg bone. You can then mount it and put it on your mantelpiece or something. Have a little.
I don't know whether this kid had maybe he's known someone who got their tonsils back in a jar. I don't know whether they were going to give me it in a big long jar or, No,
I suppose. You don't necessarily, we collect a lot of tat anyway in our lives. The last thing we need is an old leg.
Imagine having that sat by the fireside in
the freezer.
Oh, that'd be like something off Dexter, wouldn't it?
At Christmas, someone got, one of the relatives went, I'll get the joint out the freezer. Yeah, not the one at the bottom. That's my old leg.
That one. Not the one with the hairy toes. No.
Yeah. So I was planning to ask a bit more about your movie career. A one-legged stripper. So there must be. I mean, you said, yeah.
After the Paralympic thing, I did circus training to perform in the Paralympic opening and closing ceremonies in London in 2012. So performed in all these different bits in the opening, and then in the closing, I did a big thing with Coldplay, which they're my absolute. I love them. I really love them. So they were playing underneath me, and I was hanging underneath a motorbike on a trapeze, and this motorbike went up a high wire, and it was insane. It was one of the best nights. It was great. But after that, I started getting opportunities for other circus things. Went to Brazil to teach circus for a bit. That was really fun to disabled people because they got the Olympics after us. So we were looking at helping their disabled people, become circus performers as well. And then I got offered this job as Peggy Sue, the one-legged stripper in Bad Education, the movie with Jack Whitehall. And it was hilarious. I don't know whether you've seen it, but she was a bad stripper. So she didn't take many clothes off because as quick as she was taking them off, the audience were throwing them back at her. So she was a really bad stripper. But I remember at the time I still had my dad alive with me, and he told everybody that I was a prostitute. Like, Dad, no, I'm just a stripper. I'm not. not a prostitute. But yeah, it was great fun. It was, I mean, that's on my CV forever now. Who wouldn't want that?
Yeah, I remember seeing a BBC documentary several years ago now about Ellie Simmons.
Yeah.
And she was conflicted around how people wanted to cure dwarfism. And she said, well, I'm not broken. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm just a little person. I have different size attributes to everybody else. But she was really conflicted because she was just saying that I've had a fantastic life. I've done things I've never dreamed of. I've competed in the Olympics at my level. I've flown around the world. I've got gold medals. I've done this, that, and the other. I'm the person I am today because of who I am. And the benevolent tends to kick into people saying, well, we should fix you. We should make this better. It's such a shame. And you're brave or you're sad. It's sad.
Yeah.
You must have had to put up with all of that.
Yeah, such a shame. Yeah. I mean, one of the talks that I did at one of these schools that I mentioned, a little girl looked at me and said, do you like having one leg? And all I could say to her was, well, I like being me. I like me. So yes, I suppose I do like having one leg because that's who I am. And you'll never hear me say it's ruined my life because it didn't. I mean, all these opportunities that I've had that came about because I made the decision, I chose to lose that leg that then allowed me to become more active again. So I got, these opportunities came along because of that. But, it hasn't ruined my life. I'm not, if I could, would I go back and change it? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't go back and change because it's put me where I'm meant to be. And I really do feel like I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing now. Helping other people with disabilities, being that connection between them and their progress, their thriving, where we're able to support and to provide these amazing walking sticks. Yeah. Empowerment tools. They're more than just walking sticks. Yeah.
I do a lot of talks. I've done some schools, and one of the questions people often ask me is, if you went back to your 10-year-old self, knowing what you know now, what would you do differently? And I'm with you. I said, well, I like who I am today. I've got a fantastic family. I've got children. I've got friends. And if the butterfly wings flap differently from all that time ago, everything I know and reference today wouldn't exist as it does today. So I can't wish away who I am and who we are today. So therefore, I would not change a thing. I would just maybe leave a note somewhere, say don't smoke. That's what anything up. But then,
just think about what you said there though. Aren't we lucky that we're able to say that? You like you, I like me. I think it's a very lucky position to be in. It takes work to get there. It doesn't just happen overnight. It takes work, and it'll continue to take work. But do you think that's a reflection of, like I said about my belief, is it a reflection of the people that you surround yourself with as well?
I think it is a privilege that not everybody has access to this. There's been times in my life over the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years where maybe I wasn't in a positive place, but there's been a lot of times where the love of family, friends, people around me has made my life meaningful. And I think, for not everybody has that privilege. And I recognize that it is a privilege. We all have something that maybe we just don't appreciate it. Maybe having a significant life event that you've had, that I've had in my life, makes you suddenly reflect about life in general, doesn't it? You don't think, maybe you take life for granted until you realize that it's not predestined and preordained. You can actually take a step to the left and make a new path if you wish.
Yeah.
And some of that's forced, some of that's you wake up and go, hang on a minute, I don't want this anymore. But I think if we just carry on living a life for everybody else, a life of expectations, and being or losing our own agency, then we will never be truly happy with ourselves. But finding that passion and purpose, I think we all need to do that at some point.
I think, but again, not everybody will. Not everybody will have that privilege of finding their why. I know people talk about, what's your why? But it's important, and when you do find it, it is like magic. I remember because I first started making the walking sticks for myself because I couldn't find a walking stick that I liked. They were all yuck and old-fashioned and horrible. So I first started making the acrylic walking sticks for myself, and people were coming up to me and saying, "Love your walking stick, it's amazing," instead of "What happened to you?" or "What's wrong with you?" Because that's another thing that people feel able to go up to someone with a disability and go, "Oh, what have you done?" or "What happened to you?" And you're not going to share. I'm not going to share my trauma with a complete stranger. So, politely just say, "Oh, I was ill," and walk away. But people started coming up to me and saying, "I love your walking sticks." And that gave me a real boost. It gave me a real, it's switched the focus from my leg to "I like your stick." And that was the magic. That was the moment when I thought, God, I could give that to other people, because if I'm feeling it, I'm very much average Joe Public. If I'm feeling it, I know other people would get that as well. And that was the light bulb. That was the magic when I decided this is what I'm meant to be doing.
Yeah, it's why do we have to make functional accessories dull and boring? I've got my nails painted, a nice pair of shoes, have a hair done, nice clothes, a nice jewellery, a brooch, maybe a nice ring, bracelet, whatever it is. So why shouldn't a walking aid, a wheelchair, whatever it may be part of your fashion accessory? And I've seen people who have jazzed up cochlear implants that aren't just boring bits of plastic. They're sparkly and they're kind of an accessory. Why shouldn't we be proud of them and say, "Hey, look, this is my..."
Early on, I had people say to me, "What's the point? What's the point?" And able-bodied people. And I thought, if you had a disability, you'd get the point straight away, because it would just make you feel good. It would give you confidence. I always say, give a man a walking stick, or one of our walking sticks, and he'll walk like Charlie Chaplin. But give one to a person with disability, they'll look at it and they might cry and go, "That is just beautiful. I really like that. I'd be proud to be seen with that." That's the difference, But this whole "what the point?" people just don't get it until they need it.
Popped onto your website as we started talking in the green room, and I looked at some of the design, and as you say, they look a bit different. They're not what I would say is as a modern design, ergonomic handle. They look like a question mark, a long, elongated question mark. As you say, Charlie Chaplin, spin it round. It's a completely different style to what I've been used to seeing. So I'm assuming it's comfortable and functional.
Yeah, it's both. People, I know because I used them. I can fully 1,000% vouch for them, because I used them for many, many years when I was walking. We've had people collect them. We have collectors who've got like 30 different colours. It's quite a competitive challenge. We have a community. We have a Facebook community group, and people go on there and share their pictures of how they store their walking sticks, all the different colours. And someone will put on, "Oh, has anybody got a picture of Aurora out in the sunlight?" And someone will go, "Yes, I've got one. This is mine." And, they all help each other out. It's amazing. We've got a marketplace as well. We've got a Neo-Walk marketplace where people go on and sell their walking sticks. So maybe as if they've got a colour and they think, actually, it's not what I thought, or it's not, I've used it and I have no more use for it, then they sell it. So there's a constant exchange, like a recycling thing going on as well. So they are very much a collector's item now, which surprised me. But I love it. Absolutely love it. People are proud of them.
Yeah. I imagine it's a bit like vintage for walking aids. So you think, well, hang on a minute, I've got my sparkly one. I fancy a different one, and let's trade this one in and get another one back, sort of thing.
Yeah, anybody got a 36-inch, starry sky silver glitter one, and someone will go, "Yeah, I've got one. I don't use it much." Yeah, and they sell, and it's that community side of it again, which is so important to us, that has taken off. And I love that. I love, people all over the world. It's just that single interest and passion that they've got. And I've made friends all over the world that I've never met. And it's a fabulous, fabulous thing, that feeling of community, because everybody is very disconnected. As someone with a disability, you may not work, you may spend all your time at home. You'll have days, I have days where I can't get out of bed and it's lonely. It's quite a lonely existence. So that community side to it is really important to us.
You mentioned when we were chatting in the green room about each of these walking aids, the Neo walks are made to measure, so you don't sell them through distributors or anything like that because they're each individual. So how important is that to get the right size? Because they're not adjustable. Once they're made, aren't they? There's no adjustment.
Yeah. No, we have lots of, there's videos on the site to show you how to measure. There's instructions, there's drawings to show you how to measure it. It is important. So you need to follow those instructions. But we do also say that it's just a rule of thumb. It's the same instructions you would get if you Googled it online or if you asked a doctor or a physio. It's the same. They're not we haven't made it's the industry standard for measuring the length of a walking stick. But it is important that you get the right height, because otherwise you can end up with a shoulder like this if it's too long, or you can end up with a shoulder that's dropped if it's too short. And shoulders are precious. I know, because mine are knackered. So I know how precious shoulders are. So you need to, it's about preserving what you've got. It's about making sure that you look after what you've got. So yeah, there's lots of advice on the website to explain how to, and they're all made by hand, because I did all this. I know I've got a team now. I've got a team of 10 people now, but I used to do all this on my own when sales were small. Then, yeah, I was everything. I was the person who made them, posted them, social media. I'm marketing. I was everything. And yeah, happy days. I loved that, but there's just too much now. I've got a wonderful team now.
I want to share the secret. How do you make them? Because it's a lovely shape. Are they injection molded? Are they formed?
Tell you, but I'd have to shoot you.
I won't tell anybody else. Just show me.
No one's listening, are they? No, we heat them generally. It's just quite a low heat, because the acrylic will melt and bubble if you try and heat it too quickly or too hot. So it's quite a low heat. And then they're moulded round and specially made jigs to get the shapes, to get the handles. So yeah, it's not complicated. It's not rocket science, as somebody once said to me, but it takes skill and it takes real detail. You've got to have a real eye for detail.
So in the early days, you would have gone through a lot of waste, I guess, playing with it, getting frustrated, throwing them across the room, go, oh.
Yeah, javelin, yeah. Trying to find the right, because it's the right temperature and right timing. So yeah, I did. But we've got a really slick workshop now. I've got a workshop at my home, at my house. At the back of my house, I had a building converted, so I've got an office and workshop in there. So we all work together in there. So if I'm ill, I'll be in the house, but the guys will know that I'm there, and if they need me, they can come and get me. I mean, obviously, I have lots of days where I'm not able to take part in the work, because I live with a lot of pain. I live with a lot of fatigue every day. These are my daily struggles. So I'm not able to show up for them every day, and I feel really bad when I can't. But they know me well enough now to know if she's not here, there's a good reason why she's not here.
So your journey, I hate the word journey, it implies some sort of linear path between A and B, but your evolution of self is still ongoing with health, and or becoming differently affected as you evolve.
Yeah. So when I look forward, I see different living spaces, although I'm very lucky because I haven't got much furniture, so there's just a lot of space for my wheelchair and the dogs and the parrot, really. I live on my own, so I can pretty much just make everything work for me. But yeah, looking forward is a bit scary, because I don't know what it's going to mean for my mobility, I don't know, for my care. I don't really know what it looks like. Living for the moment, living for the day, and just enjoying and being grateful and thankful for what I've got, for who I've got, and making the most of the connection that we've made with this community, and just trying to help other people. And I'll keep doing that as long as I can. Do you know what? I mean, eventually if I can't move very much, they still won't be able to stop me talking. So I'll still be able to do this.
Camera and a microphone. Yep.
I
Off
need.
we go.
That's
Yeah. And a parrot, obviously, to
When
answer the
you
phone.
can, yeah, with a parrot on his shoulder, yeah. So, yeah, I know the future's going to be different, but I'm just grateful for where I am and what I'm able to do now.
Anyone nicknamed you Long John Lindsay yet?
You wouldn't be the first. What? Because I have the parrot, you know. It's just, is she joking? When I got the parrot, I got divorced last year, and I'd never been allowed a parrot, and I've always wanted a parrot. And it doesn't matter. Everyone that I've ever been with has said, no, you're not having a parrot. No, it's a stupid idea. So as soon as I found myself on my own again, I thought, stuff this, I'm getting a parrot. So
Not stuff the parrot.
it would stuff the parrot. It'd be alongside my leg by the fireplace, wouldn't it? Yeah. So I haven't had him very long, but he's ace. He's a little friend. It's a hobby. It's another interest for me outside of work. But he comes to work with me. He's got a cage in the office, and he comes through to work as well. But he's not allowed out because he likes to bite feet. So when he chases one of the guys, he does laps around the office. He chases him. He's quite the character, and they love him in the office as well.
You're saying, I think, and excuse the pun, he's no spring chicken. He's not young.
He's not. He's 47. Imagine that. Imagine all the prime ministers that bird's seen. Imagine
in the space of 6 months, there was quite a few of them, wasn't there?
Well, there was for a while, wasn't there? But yeah, he's 47, but he could live till he's 75. We could kind of outlive each other. It would be quite nice. He could be my new life partner.
Yeah. Oh, so do you know any history of where we came from?
He was actually with the same person all his life, which is quite sad. And she became poorly, and she died. So he was for adoption because he needed a new home. And I just happened to press on the right button on that day. And yeah, he came to live with me. But he's ace. I love him. He's a complicated boy. You've got to really manage. He can be quite aggressive. So you've got to manage how you handle him. But I absolutely love him. He makes me smile. He calls me Poppet. He'll look at me and he says, "Hello, Poppet." He's very sweet. So yeah, he's the man in my life now.
Soulmate, yeah.
Yeah. No, I love him.
What's next for the business? Is it just going to carry on doing what it's doing? Is it going to expand into new aids, or?
We're always thinking of new things that we can design. I mean, the obvious one would be crutches. That could be something for the future. I don't know. That would be a heavy investment, and it would also be a lot of R&D. So it would be quite complicated to do, but yeah, I'd love to do it. We're constantly just trying to bring out new colours that excite people, new handle styles, new accessories, and just keeping people interested. Again, with the community side of it, we want to encourage people to engage with each other. So there's lots of facets to the business, but I just hope it's going to keep growing, and that we keep reaching. The message keeps reaching people that there is choice. You know, I'm not going to push down someone's throat that we're the best walking stick. For some people, we're the best, and for others, we won't be the best. But there is choice out there. And I think for a long time, that there just wasn't, because designers just didn't want to tread there, you know. But there is choice, and I think it's important for people to know.
You got Louboutin shoes, which are iconic, but they're not necessarily for everybody. I mean, I would be absolutely panicking trying to get a pair of those on my chubby feet and my weak ankles. I'd be tottering around everywhere. So yeah.
They're not.
It's resonating with the community, isn't it? You found a market where people want to be served in that way, and as you say, it's probably not their only walking aid. They probably have more traditional styles, but they've got their party one, or they've got their Sunday afternoon one, or they've got their Saturday one. Why not?
People have, and I know this because I mean you've already touched on it. That my evolution has taken me through lots of different mobility aids. People have a whole arsenal of mobility aids. You know, you have the stick, you'll have the crutches, you'll have a rollator, you'll have a buggy, you'll have an electric one, you'll have a wheelchair. People use different aids for different days because a lot of chronic illness is very dynamic. So one day a walking stick might be enough, but then the next, for no rhyme or reason, you need a wheelchair. So people have all these in there where they keep them. My garage is full. It's terrible. But people have different aids for different days to cope with how they're feeling. So yeah, and we want to continue to support people on their evolution as they go through that acceptance. I mean, we talked about your mum earlier in the green room, didn't we? A lot of older people even say, I'm not using a walking stick because it'll make me look old and old-fashioned.
Mm.
We actually have a market. I think our oldest client is about 100, right down to children who are 7. And for male, female, everything in between, there's something at Neo Walk. Yeah, and if there isn't a stick, you've got the community.
Is that perceived stigma a generational thing, or is it just a person thing? Because you say, I don't want to be seen with a walking stick. Is that changing? Younger people now having I'm not saying Oscar Pistorius is the ideal role model, but he certainly glamorized prosthetics, didn't he?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, a lot of other things went wrong with Oscar, but he glamorized prosthetics, and maybe he's made people like him and other Paralympians have made them kind of socially acceptable.
Totally, made them cool. I think it is generational, I would say. It's our generation and older generations, I think, are the ones that will point fingers in the street and say, well, what are you using that for? You're too young to be using a walking stick. You must be putting it on. Because the other thing is, I consider myself lucky. I've got a very visible disability. People look at me and go, yeah, can see why she's in that chair. But people look at a younger person who doesn't have a visible illness and they'll hurl abuse at them in the street and say, oh, you're faking it, you're benefit dodger and all. People get this. There's a lot of stigma associated with it, but the younger generation are changing that by embracing and accepting mobility aids. I think it's an older generation thing that will, pardon the pun, but it will die out as, the generations get older. But it's very unfair, isn't it, to hurl abuse at someone just because they're minding their own business, just walking along using a walking stick.
I don't understand it personally, but yeah, you're right. There are people who do it. And if you're going to get abuse hurled at you, want to have a cool stick while you're doing it. Sort of bite me. I don't care. Whatever.
Yeah. I hope people come back with some really good comebacks at them. But it can be quite shocking when it happens to you, because I still get people marching up to me and going, oh, what did you do then? Really? I'm not. No, it was a shark. Go away. You just leave. Yeah, I'm not going to share my inner traumas with you. I don't know you. I don't owe you anything. It was a shark. I've sometimes said that.
I was tuna fishing off the Australian Gold Coast, and we went for a skinny dip, and a great white popped up and took my leg. It happens.
I was picking cockles off Filey Beach.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen here.
Every time you say it, I'm laughing my head off. You're saying, I don't want to tell my intimate story with a complete stranger. I thought, well, we've known each other, less than an hour, and we're already having this conversation. So I guess it's how you ask, isn't it?
We're friends now, Joe.
We're friends now, yeah. We're friends.
If someone came up to me and said, oh, I like your jacket. I mean, people do, and I like your jacket, or can I ask you a bit about your chair? Because my dad needs one, or something like that. And then they might say, do you mind me asking, but what happened? There's ways to do it. But I've literally had people march up to me and say, what did you do then? Oh, it's not the way to do it, is it?
Is that just Yorkshire bluntness, though?
It could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're wandering around London, people would just not even give you the time of day walking around London, I guess.
It's true, actually, because I come and visit London a bit to do some work, and yeah, you never get stopped in London, but up here, yeah, you do. Maybe it's blunt, nosy Yorkshire people, maybe.
Yeah. It's almost impossible to stand out and be different in London, because everybody is so different, so cosmopolitan, that no matter how off normal you are, you're still normal in London.
Yeah, it's true. But isn't that good that you want to stand out? And we encourage people to. That's one of our logos, is made to stand out, not to fit in. And we want people to be proud to stand out. And I think that comes with using a walking stick. Because again, going right back to the good old days, that's what happened to me. I was proud to be seen with them. It's a gift to give to other people. I love it.
Lindsay, it's been a fascinating conversation. I've enjoyed your company and having the privilege of having a natter with you for over an hour now. How can people get hold of you? How can people share in the having a coffee chat? I've got my lipstick mug and So how can people get hold of you?
So we've got the website, which is neo-walk.com. We only sell sticks from our website. So if you want to buy one, you'd have to go to the website. We've got a phone number that I can't remember. It's on the website. So you have to go to the website. But we do have a phone, so you can ring us and talk to us as well. And you can email us on info@neo-walk. We are going to the NADEX exhibition in Birmingham in March. So next month, towards the end of March, we'll be there with all the team, with all the different colours that we have. So you can come along and come and see us, come see the sticks. Where else will we be? Hopefully we'll be appearing for some sort of community events later in the year at different locations around the country as well, where we're going to try and gather people together for a natter. Because how valuable is it? Do you know what? Just getting together for a natter, meet people in person that you've met online, and try and just foster that community again.
And of course, you've got your online communities on Instagram, Facebook, and you're on LinkedIn as well. And I'll put all of those details in the show notes. And you still hang out on X a bit until it becomes...
I never did. I don't understand. I never understood Twitter. Understood it less when it became X. Never understood him. Wouldn't want to support him in any way, shape or form.
No, I've downsized myself off those platforms completely now. So yeah, I get. Lindsay, thank you so much.
Been a pleasure, Joe. Do you know, it's been so lovely talking to you, and conversations like this are so valuable. And it was a real honour to sit and talk to you.
Likewise.
Thank you.
As we bring this conversation to a close, I want to express my deepest gratitude to you, our listener, for lending your ear and heart to the cause of inclusion. If today's discussion struck a chord, consider subscribing to Inclusion Bites and become part of our ever-growing community, driving real change. Share this journey with friends, family and colleagues. Let's amplify the voices that matter. Got thoughts, stories, or a vision to share? I'm all ears. Reach out to joe.lockwood@seechangehappen.co.uk and let's make your voice heard. Until next time, this is Joanne Lockwood, signing off with a promise to return with more enriching narratives that challenge, inspire, and unite us all. Here's to fostering a more inclusive world, one episode at a time. Catch you on the next bite.